Be sure to pre-order all of your NECA Godzilla figures at Big Bad Toy Store at the link in the description down below. Kaiju, Dragon Ball, Pokemon, and more. It's Steven's Toy Reviews. Why, hello there collectors, it's Steven here, and I am back with a NECA Godzilla figure review for you. And you know what? It's actually been quite some time since I've done one of these. I think the last one I did was Shin Godzilla. And what a way to return to these with the new NECA Godzilla 1962. Quite a highly sought after release because why? Well, this one not only looks good, but a competitor just recently released theirs, and this one is significantly lower in cost. However, with a lower price point, some are wondering if the quality has dipped, and many more are wondering if NECA quality does strike again here. So, let's take a look to see whether or not this one is worth adding into your collection. For this particular release, they brought on one of their sculptors, Trevor Grove, to handle Godzilla. Now, for those of you who are fans of NECA, beyond just their Godzilla or Pacific Rim offerings, you'll probably recognize the name from the likes of the Pennywise figures released, some of the Halloween, or maybe some of the Friday the 13th. Golden Girls? Yeah, he's done quite a few other sculpts for NECA, and I gotta be honest with you here. This release of Godzilla, this specific design, this sculpt looks great. Is it 100% accurate to the suit that we see in the film? No. However, the sculpted details are really nice and some of the proportions do match up to the suit quite well. For what we can assume is his first crack at Godzilla, he did a great job. Now that being said, there are some inaccuracy issues, just like I said, but you know what, to be honest, for the price point and the fact that this was something that actually had to go through a couple of other hands before it got to final production, it still looks very good. One of the key characteristics, which still translated well over to the figure, is definitely going to be that frog or toad-like head sculpt, where Godzilla is sporting some nice yellow eyes with the big old black pupils that are positioned correctly. This is how you do it, kids. And I do have to say that the paint application here overall does look good. The mouth is a little bit messy here and there, but to be honest with you, it's not all that big of a deal, especially when it's going to be behind the teeth, where you're pretty much never going to be looking at the figure at all. Now, what is in fact off about this release, pretty much everyone can agree on, is going to be the jaw. It looks like the point of articulation is seated a little too far forward. This is to mostly accommodate the beam effect. That's right, he does come with one. And yeah, it kind of makes it look a little bit off. But to be honest with you, it doesn't throw it off so bad that everyone is going to hate it, because he can actually close his mouth. Anyway, taking a look down throughout the rest of the figure, we're going to notice that the figure is actually cast in a slightly blue-grayish plastic, which does look nice, and then it is brought to life thanks to some of the grays and the browns used for the dry brushing to bring out some of the details, like the sternum on the chest being rather pronounced. We are going to have some ridges and folds and scutes and whatnot all over Godzilla, which are going to look very, very good, and then we're going to have the likes of claw paint on the hands and on the toes. Yep. That's right, we do actually have claw paint here, and it does look pretty good. Admittedly, it looks nicer on the hands, which are smaller nails, than it does on the feet, which is kind of backwards. You'd think they would have been able to do it in reverse. But anyway, it's there. The gradient could be improved a little bit, but still at the end of the day, it is very nice. Now we do have those dorsal plates, which are arguably NECA's best attempt at these yet. Very good with the paint application. It actually does look like there's a little bit more shading here than in previous releases, where they just kind of painted around the edges and called it a day. Nope, we do actually have some coherent paint application along the dorsal plates, including the big one in the center. Then, of course, we have the tail that goes all the way up to the nice tip, where we do have some feathering in the paint application, where it just goes into some nice heavy dry brushing to just ivory streaks of paint, which is fitting because the detail gets smaller down there. Anyway, at the end of the day, NECA did a great job with this release, and I do have to say, for about 25 bucks, you can't go wrong. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and get into the articulation with this big lug. And before we get this started, I just want to let you know, make sure you are heating up this figure before you go ahead and move it. I have seen some reports of broken elbow joints and one broken jaw joint because, well, someone tried to force it and it didn't work out as planned. So make sure you're heating things up. That being said, for overall the articulation, it's going to be a step slightly above some of the other NECA Godzilla figures you've probably seen, and at the same time, some of the tried and true joint methods that don't really work, they're still doing with this guy. So what do we have? How does it work? Well, the jaw, first and foremost, opens and closes on a hinge that you can clearly actually see at the base of Godzilla's jaw there. You can see the hinge, right? Okay, so you see the hinge. It works. It opens, it closes. Not a whole lot else to talk about there, but it just kind of looked goofy from a side view. That's because they seated the jaw a little farther this way than it should be going back that way, and that does throw the mouth off a little bit, but still, it's not a huge issue. Now we do have the head that plugs into the neck on a ball joint, so it can twist and turn and spin and all that fun stuff. As you're going to see in the next section, he does come with a beam effect. Oh, yay. So just keep in mind that you want to try to keep this joint as tight as possible, and it may get loose over time. Then we do have this ball joint down here, which allows for an even greater range of movement. So Godzilla is looking in all sorts of different directions, which is nice to see. Now we do have the shoulders, which are going to be tried and true ball joints. Very cool. Can he T-pose? I'm pushing it. No, not really. Can he do that? Yes, he can. He can move his arms in. Then, thanks to the help of swivels and hinges at the elbow, which are difficult to move. This one, especially on mine, it's still kind of stuck. He can put his hands together. He can get them to touch. Woo, that's nice. So yes, his elbows do have swivels and they do have hinges. So this way, if you want to spin the arms around and you do want his elbows to move, they can move. Wrists are featuring the same kind of movement, so you can spin them and get hinge movement forward and back. We do also have finger hinges as well, for those of you who really want to use those. So that's nice. So maybe he can hold a sword if you have a sword for him. Cool. We do have an ab crunch, which is a ball joint, which does move. Mine doesn't seem like it wants to move too much in either direction, forward or back. But from side to side, it's working pretty good. It's a double access barbell style, so you're going to have a ball joint here and a ball joint there. At least that's what it seems like. So yeah, Godzilla can twist and turn, all sorts of fun movement there. We have ball jointed hips, which is going to give you more movement like this than it is actually going outside to side. As you can kind of see here, we're wiggling. But yeah, pretty difficult to move the hips here on mine anyway. So we do have swivel and hinge knees, which I'm going to use this one to show you. Okay. So he can stand up pretty tall. He's a pretty tall Godzilla, yeah? Now for the feet, you're going to say ball joint? Nope, swivels. Yep, and it's not broken. So if this is supposed to be a ball joint, then I guess mine is broken. But yeah, there's a ball joint where it is inserted into the leg. But yeah, for the ankles, it looks like it's just kind of a weird-looking swivel. So my foot keeps coming off. It's kind of frustrating. But what isn't frustrating is they got rid of the wire tails. Yeah, not entirely fully jointed like some of the promotional stuff has been talking about and some fans are saying. We get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 segments here that are on ball joints, and we can move Godzilla's tail in basically any direction we would like, which is, you know what, honestly fine. We don't need ball joints in every single segment here for this particular release. This works perfectly fine, and we don't need wire tails. Like, if NECA can continue this trend moving forward, that'll be great. We don't need anything else. Gotcha. So all in all, for articulation, NECA did a rather rock-solid job with this release. Couple of issues that I have had with mine, critiques here and there, but you know what? That's okay. That's how we make improvements, right? No more breakable wire tails. Yeah. Overall, Godzilla 62, 2 thumbs up. That's my way of getting him to do the thumbs up. But yeah, he moves well enough. Now let's go ahead and talk about accessories, which actually NECA surprised us with this one because it includes a beam effect. Yes, it's a nice little heat ray that kind of looks more like it's a steam effect, but that's still okay. This was not originally advertised with the figure. This is actually something we found out Godzilla was going to have upon seeing the boxed pictures. And you know what? This looks very, very cool. It does look like there's an actual stream here with flame moving upwards, which does make it look like the flame is sort of shot out like napalm, if you will, in a way. Yeah, it's pretty cool. The only downside of this is that there's no blue, which is kind of what Godzilla is known for, having a blue beam, unless you're in the Heisei era. But still, if you wanted to take some blue paint to this and just dry brush it up, which I have seen some folks do, I plan on doing myself, do it. It's going to look amazing. But anyway, the sculpted details, nice. The paint application, which is there, is good. And it just slots into Godzilla's mouth super easy. You just got to plug it into the hole. The only thing to keep in mind, this is a rather heavy, comparatively speaking, effect. So Godzilla's head will want to drop down on that ball joint connection. So do keep in mind, you're not going to want to keep this beam effect in for an extended period of time, just so this way the joint does not lose tightness. Yep. Be careful there. Now, like I made mention, this is a boxed figure, which is similar to NECA's Ultimate figures. And though I don't normally talk about the boxes in my reviews, I like to do so when it actually adds a significant value or display presence to the figure, and I do have to say the box here is great. Instead of following the usual style guide that NECA had to follow in previous releases, NECA got the okay to actually create their own boxes for some of the more classic Godzilla figures. And this time around, we do actually have a King Kong versus Godzilla themed box, where on the front we're going to have one of the movie posters, which interestingly enough, that is the actual King Kong that was used in the movie appearing on the box. That's right. Was a licensing pool made here in some way, shape, or form? How'd they get the rights to use Kong? Anyway, he's on the front of the box. The sides of the box are just going to have some stuff in Japanese. I don't know. It looks like a King Kong versus Godzilla. Yeah. There's a 65th anniversary logo. And of course, on the back, we're going to have promotional shots with a nice little blurb. So this way, you pick up the product to buy it. And then when you go ahead and open it up, you're going to see the boxed window there with a nice little Velcro circle and a promotional shot of Godzilla. Always looking good. And yes, the inside cardboard of the box can be pulled out as an insert. So for overall $25, accessories, yeah, they did a really rock solid job here. The only thing I could say is there are more that you can add to your display, and if you wanted to check them out, you know I have a video for that. Now we're going to go ahead and end the review with a size comparison you've probably... Now we're going to go ahead and end the review with a size comparison you've probably been waiting for, and as you can clearly see, if you are just a fan looking to get a version of Godzilla and you like this one, he'll go well with your Figuarts and Figmas. If you are looking to get a Godzilla to just mingle with some of your other kaiju and have a battle, he'll look great there. And with your other 1962 Godzillas, he will definitely add a nice, unique display value to your overall shelf. So, needless to say, this guy is large and in charge, and he has his own unique charm. So, buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. Is this figure already Figure of the Year that everyone is calling it as in March of 2019? No. Is it a really good value for $25 or so? Absolutely. We get a beam effect that is very fitting for the figure. We get a nice window box display, so this way if you're an MISB collector, hey, you're going to be able to enjoy it in the box, up on the shelf, or wherever else you're going to keep them. And if you're looking for a nice, affordable 1962 Godzilla, then congratulations. You don't have to shell out close to $100 to get a vinyl or an SH Monster Arts. However, it does have a couple of drawbacks, and I've seen folks have to go through about 2 or 3 of them before they were able to get one they were actually happy with that didn't have something that was wrong with them in one way, shape, or form. But we know that that can be NECA at times. So at the end of the day, if you're kind of on the fence for this one and you're okay with a little bit of stylization, this is definitely going to be a figure you're going to want to pick up. I'm a little frustrated a bit with the articulation, especially with the foot popping off, but you know what? At the end of the day, it's $25. You can't go wrong with that at all. Well, collectors, that brings us to the end of the video today, and I just wanted to take a second to thank you so much for watching. Now, you've heard a lot from me. I'd like to hear a little bit from you. Drop in the comments down below whether or not you liked it, you hated it, or maybe you were somewhere in between. I also want to take an extra second here for a nice, humongous thank you to all the patrons for SDR over the last month who have really helped the channel grow into what it can be today. So to all of you, 2 big thumbs up. Thank you very much. And now the end card should be popping up, which will give you a few clickable links, like maybe to subscribe or head on over to my Patreon, or some short URLs like to my social media or to my Teespring store. There's also a video I hand-selected for you, so if you want to watch another STR video, I hand-selected some good content for you to watch, so definitely check out that video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next video.